Nation states are like people. They can't get what they want until they know what they want. Both factions are now at total war, and guess what? 1916 was not what they wanted. How did they get here anyway? Nation states and people diverge in one key area. People have friends. Nation states have interests, specifically financial interests. Russia could not stand on the sidelines as Germany and Austria-Hungary absorbed the Balkans into the Teutonic economic sphere, so they came to Serbia's aid. French industrialists had underwritten the Russian Industrial Revolution, and they did not want to lose their collateral. As noted before, the Bank of England was too much of an artifact to handle the cascading cross defaults of the continent. Besides, they intuitively knew that they can cash in on their special relationship. That is, once the lender of last resort got its act together. Poor Italy, they just wanted to be great again. When both sides reach total war, the combined war status will be between 22 and 28. Depending on the situation on the Eastern Front, either side could put the Tsar in jeopardy and bring in the Americans in one game turn. Because of this, one must consider these downstream consequences with any card played for its war status. Even so, there are a few no-brainer war status cards to be played by both sides. If either the Romanian entry or place of execution haven't been enacted, they need to be played on the first appearance in total war. For Romania, once the Tsar falls, this card is completely unplayable, and the Central Powers gain 2 victory points, representing unfettered access to the Ploesti oil fields. I know Romania is weak, but you need to make sure that the Central Powers shed some blood for that oil. Not playing place of execution doesn't entail the same dire consequences as Romania. After all, the CP gets 4 operations card to recycle to armistice. And there's the rub. If automatic victory is not obtained, then the CP are going to need every war status point that they can get their hands on, as the Allied powers will just run out the clock and make your population eat turnips. Next on the list for the Allied powers is Independent Air Force. It's only a 2-ops card, and it negates the Central Powers Rathenau. Everyone into battle can be played after one of the CP prayer cards is played. But once that condition is met, fire away. The Central Powers should play the French mutiny right away. If well coordinated with Western Front offensives, the victory points gained could go a long way to offsetting the effects of the blockade. The key to maximizing its effect is to seize a key French-held location during a French mandatory offensive turn. Even if the Central Powers give up the location in a counterattack, a victory point is gained. Once the Tsar is good as 6 underground, but his fall hasn't been played, it's time for the Brusilov offensive, which is an excellent cover for Romania if you, as the Allied powers, haven't played that one yet. General Alexei Brusilov was the greatest tactician and strategist of the era, not only due to his military genius, but the fact that as a Tsarist nobleman, he was the winner of Survivor Russian Revolution. He died a natural death in 1924, receiving a state funeral that was attended by both the Bolsheviks and the Tsarist Old Guard. Even though it's a 5-ops card, HL Take Command should be played unless it's the first card rotation of Total War and you have been practicing good deck management. Too many events are dependent upon the de facto military dictatorship of Hindenburg-Ludendorff. This duo rose to prominence in the first weeks of the war. Most of the military genius was due to Erich Ludendorff. Paul von Hindenburg served as a do-nothing figurehead until his death in 1934. Other than Hoffman, play of these follow-on cards should be delayed until their need specifically arises. Details to follow in the next video. It is definitely more tempting to get the Sinai pipeline built and Allenby into play than to bring in Greece. but they are in the same priority. Early play of Allenby not only takes two 4-ops cards out of play, but also hastens the Russian Revolution due to war status increases. Play of Allenby is definitely warranted if the Central Powers have been supplementing the Turkish army with German and/or Bulgarian corps, and letting Russia be Russia. As much as it pains you, Tsar Nicky never fit into the more cosmopolitan Entente elite. Anyway, the Central Powers need to step up and play those Russian capitulation cards, getting them out of his deck, and send that sealed railroad card to the east. No matter which side you're on, you're caught in a crossfire, on a high wire in a no-win situation. The silver lining in Russian capitulation is the almost certain ability to bring in the United States. However, that too comes with an opportunity cost. If the Entente powers have been playing most of the war status cards prior to Zimmerman eligibility, then the Central Powers can use the American deployment to reach armistice before Yanks and tanks can be played. Effective play during total war is as much about awareness of your opponent's deck as your own. Case in point, if your opponent plays Fall of the Tsar or Zimmerman Telegram for operations and their reshuffle is a few turns away, then you have more of a free rein. Next episode, the Central Powers recreate the Decembrist revolt.